All right, our banking sector, or more or less financials. Now, I've said this numerous times with FAS. Be careful, right? As we can whipsaw with a moment's notice, as you can see a couple weeks ago with 108 negative or 108 to 93 in a course of 2 days, and then and then the very next day jump ourselves back over basically what 8 points, 9 points. With that being said, our financials have pretty much gotten out of the way. Most of the banks did well, right? However, we're kind of at a mid spot. As you can see, we're kind of grinding into a squeeze right around here because we don't know which way it's going to go. If the market kind of craters over now today, I think the market's up in pre-market. At least at 5 o'clock this morning it was. However, watch for it to test this 104. If it can hold this 104, this might be the time where it just goes parabolic and it breaks out this 111, breaks out the 117, and then finally breaks this high. It's been since the beginning of June when we made that first high. Let's see. It took a month basically for it to make a high to reach back to a high. Now it's about 2 months now since the last high. Well, in a couple of days, right? In about today or tomorrow or the day after that. And if the banks can catch footing, then look for FAS to finally try to pop up. Now, what I mean, be careful, because this can happen in a course of 3-4 days, right? We could be next week and we're already at 127. So watch it carefully, and be ready. KKR, we have earnings tomorrow. Yes, earnings tomorrow. Yeah, I don't really see. It's just fascinating. It's gone 8 points. It's looking amazing. However, we are at feed the ducks area. All right, so just be careful at this 63. We have earnings coming up. If the earnings are good, then it could go down. If the earnings are bad, it could go up, right? We've seen this before where the earnings are not really a telltale sign on which direction it's going to go. And we have a conference call, which the conference call could give good guidance or bad guidance, whatever one. So just be careful. We have had a massive run, right? Let's see what percentage this is. 13% in 12 days. So it would make sense if we could let's look at our Fibonacci from the top to the bottom. We could drop all the way back down to 60, still be bullish, right? Our 786 retracement is right at the same as our larger trend 61 or 161. So look at that. That's more of a more powerful number. I see is kind of coming in at the 62.77. If we can hold that, look for an upward trajectory. Bank of America, how did they do on their earnings? They beat on their earnings. This was what, 2 weeks ago. If we can hold this 38.28, then I'll be satisfied with that. But if we can't hold that 38.28, then kind of look for us to transition down to this 36. At which point, like, stay away. Well, depending if it can hold it, then okay, great. But I'm more looking for the 38.28. Try to hold this 38.28. Talk to Chuck. Charles Schwab. We are in a downward trend, as you can see. It's not something I'm really excited about. Their earnings came out, they beat, but this is like 2 weeks ago. Again, if we can hold this 67.16, I'm happy, but it has to hold it for me to be interested anymore. BlackRock, it hit our target 2 weeks ago. And then just like what would be expected, it got destroyed and pretty much fell off a cliff. But that's perfectly fine. It's expected. There we go. That's more of our support area. As you can see, we've had support here, here, resistance, support, resistance. So if we can hold this 88.57, then I see no problem with this. But we have to maintain and we have to hold this 487, or excuse me, this 857. I still believe we're heading on to our 926 and to our 996, but give it a little bit of time. It has had a massive run from 700 to basically 900 since March. So give it a breather. Once we squeeze higher again, this stock can go from, look at this, it was 840 to 920 in a relatively short time. So 618 to 712 in 1 month, about 100 points. So this could move, and it can move very fast. Now let's look at Mr. Price, T. Rowe Price. This is beautiful. I mean, this is what you want. Oh, well, we barely beat on earnings, but it's fine. We broke down at the, oh, I see what they did. They got all the weak hands out right there because they double bottomed it right there. So got everybody out. And I would say that look for an upward trajectory, at least to this 206, with the potential of breaking to new highs past this 212 area. Goldman Sachs again with FAS. Remember, these are massive movers, as in the course of a blink of an eye, they can either destroy an account or make an account. 2 weeks ago, give or take, they blew out on earnings, and since then they basically got rejected, and now we're finally up there. So this is what I mean by very frustrating stock. They really blew earnings out, almost double the earnings, and went from 380 all the way to 350, right? Dropped 30%, 30 points on amazing earnings, right? And now we're right around where we were, but we're gonna need some good news, and this is the same with FAS. If Goldman Sachs kind of breaks above and starts on a run, then look for FAS to hit that 121. BX, Blackstone Group, is looking phenomenal. They had earnings last week, 722. So I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, last week, whatever. What did they do? They destroyed earnings, over 100% on earnings. They had their little 70-cent dividend, which they lowered their dividend, which is not good. So they lowered their dividend. Their dividend came in at a less number than it was before, but that's not something I'd be concerned about. They're kind of working on all cylinders. Watch for a comeback into 111, then for it to kind of build some momentum and go back up. Yeah, let's give this a short-term trend. Look for, give or take, the 113 all the way to the 110 means that this is still a very bullish stock, really all the way down to 108, but I don't see it going down there unless it's for a short-term temporary, get everybody out. NTRS, Northern Trust. I really am looking for it to retake this 123, but it's kind of like the same with Goldman Sachs and Blackstone and BlackRock, with all the banking stocks in a whole. Besides maybe BX, Blackstone, and maybe CME, because those are we'll talk about CME in just a second, but they had great months in June and then kind of fizzled out. They've made, what did Northern Trust? Northern Trust came out at, they basically par with the earnings. I do, however, like this because we are above our 100. We made it all the way up to our 618 extension. We got rejected at our 127, but it seems like we're holding the 100% mark. If we can hold that 100% mark, maybe jickle here, maybe another couple weeks in between these marks, then look for us, as long as we continuously make higher highs, then look for us to break out of the 116 mark, looking to run after this high. CME Group. Well, CME Group, I was looking, I thought we had broken out. I'm mistaken. So CME Group is right in line with Northern Trust, Goldman Sachs, and the rest of them. We beat on earnings on the 28th, but we got rejected the last 2 days at a decent spot with a more or less a predictable spot. Just remember we are below the 50, so we're technically kind of bearish opposed to bullish. I would like to see us get above. Since we are in line with earnings, it's kind of difficult to say that this really will be strong and positive and there's nothing in its way. However, that's not the case because it's basically just in line with earnings. The guidance was probably cool. The trading numbers, they just offered a few new products, which should help with the bottom line. So I'm not going to count CME Group out. However, until we can kind of, well, right here at the 211 is a decent place to get in because you have anything below 211 really is a telltale sign to get out. You could be a little bit lackadaisical at the 209, but anything below the 209 I most definitely would not hold on to. But I would like to see this get above the 215, and I do see that happening in relatively quick, as long as the whole banking sector doesn't crater.